How are you guys doing? This is Aiken Storty. I'm your host here at Extreme Foolishness TV. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you very much. I appreciate you. This is where I talk about extreme foolishness that goes on around you. I know a lot of you guys have probably heard that Justice Ginsburg passed and that the Republicans are trying to fill her seat ASAP, as soon as possible. This is despite the fact that in 2016, when then President Obama nominated Justice Merrick Garland, he didn't even get a hearing, let alone a vote. That's common knowledge. You know the stance of a lot of those Republican politicians, flip-flopping. I mean, it is sad that you have more trust for snake oil salesmen than people like Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham. And sadly, I was thinking Mitt Romney had some kind of integrity. But hey, he's jumped on board. So far it looks like the Republicans have the vote to confirm a Supreme Court nominee that will be nominated by President Trump sometime this weekend, most likely. And from the list of the nominees, it looks like one thing they have in common is that they're quote unquote pro-life and they do not like Obamacare. So most likely, whoever judge that President Trump will nominate will most likely vote against to strike down Roe versus Wade. And Roe versus Wade is the law that gives women the right to make decisions regarding their bodies. So the hypocrisy of these Republicans is glaring. And I'll be talking about some of those Republican politicians and the hypocrisy. A lot of these Republicans are forgetting that if Roe versus Wade is overturned, it will apply to their mistresses and concubines. Their mistresses and concubines will not be able to have abortions. So now I'll be talking to you guys about some Republican politicians who have asked their mistresses to have abortions in the past. The first person on my list, and this list is not exhaustive, by the way, then Congressman Tim Murphy. He was an anti-abortion congressman. He was married to his wife and he had a mistress. He impregnated his mistress and told his then mistress to abort their unborn child. It is very, very important to let you guys know that then Congressman Tim Murphy co-sponsored a 20-week abortion ban. After he now told his mistress when he got pregnant to terminate the pregnancy. His mistress posted this message. His mistress said, "And you have zero issue posting your pro-life stats all over the place when you had no issue asking me to abort our unborn child." Just think about that. She said, just last week when we thought that was one of the options. In other words, then Congressman Tim Murphy was telling his then mistress when he got pregnant that, hey, abort the unborn child. And this is a congressman who co-sponsored a 20-week abortion ban. Can you see the hypocrisy? He responded. This is what he responded when she posted the message. The Congressman Tim Murphy said, "I get what you say about my March for Life messages. I have never written them. My staff does them. I read them and winced. I told my staff, don't write anymore. I will." Can you imagine this hypocrisy? He was telling his then mistress that, "Oh, I'm not the one who wrote this. It was my staff who wrote this," even though the bill was probably sponsored the 20-week abortion ban was sponsored under his name. His excuse was that he didn't write it. I didn't write it. Someone else wrote it. I mean, this is the hypocrisy with a lot of these Republican politicians. Many of whom are even worse than snake oil salesmen. After that, he gave us 2 weeks notice and he quit Congress. There's no telling what he's doing now. He's probably getting some other girls pregnant. Who knows? And he's probably saying, oh, I'm pro-life, pro-life. I want to talk to you guys about somebody else. Elliot Brody. He was the Republican National Committee's deputy finance chairman. He resigned after the story broke that he had President Trump's personal lawyer, Michael Cohen. You know who Michael Cohen is. He was the former fixer for Mr. Trump. He had President Trump's personal lawyer, then personal lawyer Michael Cohen, to pay off a Playboy playmate he was having an affair with. And he got the playmate pregnant. You know, he was hitting it raw. He got the playmate pregnant. He gave a statement after that. He said, I acknowledge I had a consensual relationship with a Playboy playmate. At the end of our relationship, this woman shared with me that she was pregnant. She alone decided that she did not want to continue with the pregnancy, and I offered to help her financially during this difficult period. That's so funny. He said she made the decision by herself. Isn't that what the argument is? That women should have a right to their own body? But when you got this girl pregnant, you're now saying she made the decision by herself, and you offered to help her financially during the difficult time. In other words, you paying for it. That's so funny. This is hypocrisy at the highest order. And trying to now say, oh, she decided that she did not want to continue with the pregnancy, and not only, I paid her to pay the doctor. That is the hypocrisy we're dealing with. Another person in 2012, Representative Scott Desjarres, he called himself a consistent supporter of pro-life values. He proclaimed himself as a champion and consistent supporter of pro-life values. He was also exposed for having supported his ex-wife, getting multiple abortions. And this Mr. Family Values guy, Scott Desjarres, he also alleged that he slept with his patients. We know, I'm sure he probably did. He probably hit his patients raw. And I know he was fined by the medical board. This congressman was reputed to have pressured his mistress into having an abortion. And he also encouraged 2 more from his ex-wife before they were married. He encouraged his ex-wife to have abortion. And a lot of these Republicans do not want abortion, but these are the same people who want to restrict access to birth control. It's like you don't want people to have abortions. In the same vein, you don't want women to have access to birth control. Isn't birth control supposed to prevent unwanted pregnancies? Can you see the extreme foolishness here? You don't want people to have birth control, women to have birth control, and you don't want them to have abortion. Sex education. This is some extreme foolishness, y'all. Earlier this year, the United States Supreme Court upheld a Trump administration regulation that lets employers with religious or moral objections limit women's access to birth control coverage. This is under the Affordable Care Act. I mean, can you imagine? The Trump administration wants employers to use moral objections and religious objections to limit women's access to birth control under Obamacare. And it's crazy because about up to over 100,000 women could lose contraceptive coverage from their employers. And if they lose contraceptive coverage, now they're getting unwanted pregnancies. And if they want to have abortions, they can't have abortions. You can't. Very soon, they may start banning condoms. Who knows? And just say, you know what, everybody eat it raw. If you get pregnant, it is what it is. And when they're trying to get assistance because they didn't want the baby, you say, oh, they're dependent on the government. This is extreme foolishness, people. Anyway, let me know in your comments. I'm just a messenger here. Let me know in the comments. Do you think this is extreme foolishness? Do you think these Republicans are hypocritical, especially the ones who are claiming to be pro-life and want to overturn Roe versus Wade? But they are getting their mistresses pregnant and having their mistresses pay for their abortion. I mean, they're paying for their abortions. Let me know. Do you think this is hypocritical? How many of the senators right now who are going to vote for a new Supreme Court justice to replace Justice Ginsburg, who obviously they want Roe versus Wade to be overturned? How many of them do you think are probably getting women pregnant right now? Let me know what you think. This is Extreme Foolishness TV. If you haven't subscribed and you like this message, please share. Also, like this message to help the YouTube algorithm. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. Let me know what you think. Aiken Story here, Mr. Make and Pay. Remember, say no to extreme foolishness.